trumpet. I don't want you monkey mouth motherfucker sitting in my throne again.
Hey, nigga, what's happening? Nigga, came back to the hood, nigga.
I'm mad, but I ain't stressed.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? I am Shabay from Ways to Spice Up Your Relationship. Today, we are going to do things a little different, just a little bit than usual. We have a special guest, my co-admin with Ways to Spice, who is an urban street fiction author, Mr. Aaron BEBO. Did I say that right?
You said it right. We good. We doing
All
good
right.
right now. We doing good.
That's good. He has been a published author for 8 years, and throughout those years, he has written multiple urban street fictions, books like Choosy, Rat Hunters, The Hunt Continues, and Change for a Dollar. So welcome, Aaron, and thank you for allowing me to interview you. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm real good.
Yeah, you're looking good. You're looking good.
That was the point. That was definitely my point.
Okay.
All right. Okay. You got your drink so we could get this toast on?
I already done took my shots. I'm not shooting nobody else. It's gonna be suicide if anything else like that happens. Take another
Well,
shot.
I'm a toast for you.
Yes, please. We gotta keep
I'm
somebody.
a toast for you.
Somebody gotta be the designated driver.
I believe you, and I thank you. Appreciate that.
For real.
All right. Well, let's get this started, okay? Well, my first question is how long you been writing?
I've been
I know
writing.
I said 8 years, but the people would like to know exactly how long have you been writing?
I've been writing really like all my life, honestly, like in some form or another. You know what I mean? As far as the urban fiction, street fiction, or whatever, I've been doing that for like 8 years professionally.
Mm.
But
Okay.
for the most part, I've been writing all my life. Music, it started with music. I was doing music early.
Really? You was doing music? Oh, I'm sorry, people. It
And then
froze for a minute. Okay. There
yeah.
you go.
What you missed?
I missed the part where you said you was doing music.
Yeah, I was doing music. I really started off doing music. That's how I really got my entrance into publishing, because I used to write a lot of music. I was writing for a group. It was a group back in the days that I used to write for. And that's how I first started learning about the publishing, because that's how you get paid. You know what I mean? Through whoever. Like, you may see somebody performing, but the person who wrote the song, you know, is the person who really is the one getting the money. So that
So
was
you're a ghostwriter.
Yeah, I started off ghostwriting. Well, I was writing for myself, but you know, I ran into some people who had a deal. They had a deal already for this group they had.
Okay.
They liked me, so they, you know, I started working with the group. Like, I started coming around, and you know, I eventually end up start writing for the group. Like, I probably wrote like 4 or 5 songs, and they helped me establish my publishing through ASCAP. This was probably like 93, 94. This was going on, and I became a member of ASCAP, and I ended up getting in some trouble. Actually, is what happened. I ended up getting some trouble, and I got locked up, and I couldn't really, you know, do the music thing no more. But the writing stuck with me, so just used the fiction outlet as an outlet of expression to get the words out. So that's really how I started writing books. Honestly, I was locked in that cell, and I couldn't go do my music. So.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're writing. You got some good books out there, by the way. And I've read one of them, Choosy, and I'm still reading it. I'm loving it, by the way.
Thank you.
You have a true imagination that would definitely capture a person's mind. I mean, it is blowing me. Can't put it down. I had to put it down last night because I would have been up all night.
Yeah, first of all, let me just warn you, because before you get, I don't want you coming back cursing me out. Nah, for real, because the choosy joint is just a preview. To be honest with you, like I ain't released the whole joint because I just feel like the support ain't there for the type of work it is. Like, I feel like what's going on in the industry right now. Like it's just funny that you said the imagination. I feel like the imagination aspect is gone. Like no one's imagination is, as vivid or as well or as good as it could be. Nobody's bringing nothing to life from their imagination no more. You know what I mean? So I don't think that type of story I don't think people ready for it. You know what I mean? Because I think they want the same thing.
I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like that's the joint you really got to read. Like you really got to pay attention to. So people don't be wanting to pay attention these days and times. Like we in the microwave era. So if it's not happening like quick, even though there was a lot of action right from the forefront and you should be drawn in, like if it's not like the last book, a lot of times readers don't really, you know what I mean, they don't see that familiarity. They don't want to deal with it, period.
Right. Well, that's why we're here, to support you, and let it be known what's out there for your book. When I read the book, it definitely did draw me in immediately. And I like that. I don't like slow books. I love a book that could catch my attention right there and there. As soon as I open it, I don't have to go through the whole thing of, oh my
Look,
God,
see,
what's
you
going to
have
happen
froze
next?
up. You have froze up at immediately.
Oh, what part did I leave off at?
Yeah,
Am I back?
last thing I heard you say was it drew you in immediately, and then you froze.
It did. Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, it drew me in immediately. And I love that. I love that about a book. If I can read a book that can draw me in immediately, that's what I want. I want something that catches my attention. Bam.
Right,
That's my microwave reaction. It needs to draw me in. I don't want something that's drawn out. That's like a movie. I don't want to watch a movie that's drawn out and then all of a sudden at the end the action come and it's over. No, I don't want that. I like something that starts me off and gets my attention ASAP. And I believe that with this book, you have definitely done that. And then it speaks about reality. I love the fact that it speaks about reality. It's something that really happens in life. And it's not something that's
right.
really just, something that just, somebody came up with or anything. It's some things that's really, happen in life. And people need to understand and realize that. That these type of things really do happen in people's lives. And I thank you for that. Thank you for putting that out there, especially in our urban world.
Yeah, I wanted to do that because like a lot of times when especially with these urban stories too, because my whole thing is about doing something different and keeping it new and refreshing. So, so many times you read these urban stories, you see where it's like the female is the victim, like the female's getting taken advantage of or whatever. So when I got ready to do this story, I wanted to come from another perspective. That's why you see in the very beginning, it's the young boy who's being raped by a female.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And something that, happens, but it's really not talked about. But there's no real light on it because it seems like something that maybe a little boy shouldn't be concerned about. The fact that he should be happy that that's going on. Like there's no psychological.
Not necessarily true.
Right.
Right.
There's no the way society, in my opinion, the way society views that, it's like it's almost like it's almost not a crime.
Right.
Like it's almost like not a crime. Like, what are you crying for? Type thing. If a male does it, it's like, what are you crying for?
Right. That's because I don't understand that either. Why society has done that to men. They make them to where they not supposed to feel emotions or anything like that. And once again, like I said, I'm glad that you put that out there in that book. That he does have those type of emotions. He does see, things differently. And the fact that he did go through the things that he went through, I appreciate that. But my question is too, where are you getting these ideas from? How did you come up with these ideas to write these books? What makes you write these books like this?
Well, as far as the street fiction, really, I had close ties to that. Like I had close ties to the lifestyle in real time, actuality. So, and then, like I said, I just always been good with writing. Like always been good with words, and you know, just the combination of the two. When it came time for me to write about something, like it just was something. I just came from a natural place. So the first story I ever tried to tell was my story. You know, so from there, and then as time went on, I just started learning different things about writing, and because to be honest with you, when I first like Change for $1 is a good the story is good.
Mm-hmm.
The writing is not so good. You feel me? Like I wasn't a writer then. I was a good storyteller, and that's really what saved that book. It's just me being a good storyteller, and the story was strung along so good that the reader, you know, the reader's gonna follow it because it's fast paced. It's gonna just go, you know. But
Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. But let me ask you a question. You said a story reader, a story, and a writer. What is the difference between the story and the writer?
well, you might have
A good
somebody.
writer.
Yeah, you might have somebody like tomfoolery. You feel me? Like tomfoolery might be considered a good story. He was known for folk tales. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
then you take somebody like, let's say, let's go with a Jackie Collins. Like,
Okay.
you take somebody like Jackie Collins, like she's a good writer, especially
Mm-hmm.
within her genre. Like she's like the queen of smut. You feel me? So she's designed a way to express in words the genre. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
she's not, it's not is so basically what I'm saying is when she writes it, like anybody can get it. Like she can hand it to somebody who's well read, or she can hand it to somebody who may not be well read but just can read. You know what I mean? And they're gonna be able to follow along well enough because the story's well written. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not nothing that's gonna throw them off. Like they're not gonna have to worry about if this person's switching from second person to narrative out of place. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like she kind of got that down pat. A lot of times with urban fiction, what I come across and which was my problem in the beginning is I was writing for an audience that I felt like already knew what I was talking about. You feel me? And that's like a thing. I think a lot of urban writers do that. Like they write from a perspective of like they talking to their homeboys on the corner. Like they give up the scenes in a manner where the person who's reading it should already know what's going on because they come from that lifestyle. You know, so after Change for $1, I realized a lot of the mistakes I made as a writer, and I started, fixing those things.
Okay. 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 That makes sense.
Yes.
Now that I have an understanding of that. So that with that being said, that brings me to another question.
Okay.
As a writer, who mostly writes street fiction?
Well, honestly, now it's just the market has grown. You know what I mean? Like back in the days, you might have like between 7 to 10 urban street fiction writers, you know what I mean, that would be classified in that genre outside of, the Donald Goines and Iceberg Slim and the older people that came beforehand. But like now, the genre has grown so much. Honestly, there's no telling who's writing street fiction. To keep it real, because the classification has become it's become hard to categorize because a lot
Oh,
of
really?
Yeah, because a lot of people may say they're a street fiction writer, but realistically, they really writing urban romance. You feel
Okay.
me? And a lot of readers who say they want street fiction really want urban romance. And what I mean by that is like they don't want a story that doesn't have a love story intertwined within it. If it's just all street, if it's all gutter, then it probably won't sit too well with them because they need that love story sewn
Right.
within there to make it seem like these events are happening. They need that. They need it from somewhere. I guess it's the hope part. I guess that's the way a lot of authors are creating hope now, by having a relationship, because through the relationship is how you're going to establish dysfunction or, you know, a good path. Either these people are going to be in a good relationship and you're looking for their outcome on that, like, okay, I hope they make it, or they're going to be in a bad relationship and throughout you're probably going to be dealing with their dysfunctions and their shortcomings. Street fiction is a little bit, yeah, street fiction is a little bit different. You know what I mean? Street fiction is more so like the earlier, like the things that people were doing in the earlier days. Like when you read Iceberg Slim, he don't need the love story to paint Death Wish. You know what I mean? He got the white mafia, and he got this black organization over here that's on some community, you know, patrol. They trying to keep their community intact, and that's his storyline. There's no love of course, some people within the story may have a girlfriend here and there, but none of that became the forefront of what this story was about. Like the story remained street. It remained gutter all the way to the end. You know what I mean? And a lot of times people be looking for the love story. You know what I mean? Like seriously, like they look for the love story.
Right.
In fact, like you'll be hard pressed to find any books written within the last 4 or 5 years that doesn't have a love story. You feel me? Like, look. So let me give you a perfect example. Where's the love story in The Coldest Winter Ever?
Hold on 1 second. Your computer is freezing up on you. I could hear you going in and out on the last comment that you said.
Oh, I said in the sense of a love story, talking about street fiction, where's the love story in The Coldest Winter Ever? There isn't one. You know what I mean? Like there isn't a love story in there. It's a family. It's a story about a family. The chick Winter was going through some things. The Coldest Winter Ever was more of a story of dilemma. It was a story of dilemmas and circumstances. It wasn't a love story, and people ain't writing like that no more. And if you see, like within that book, you'll see in the backdrop of the story was Midnight's story. While this is all going on, while he's currently in part of his book, he has a whole nother story going on within the story where Sister Soldier, as a creator.
You froze.
Back and forth with giving this guy advice and different things. So there's 2 different things going on there. So now when she comes with Midnight later on, here goes, she's created her transition of time. Because when at the end of The Coldest Winter Ever, when Winter gets locked up and gets a 15-year bid, what happens within this 15 years? Like we can't get a part 2 that quick. You understand? Like, and people wanted it that quick. So when they got Midnight, I ain't like that. Yeah, because you know why? You was looking for The Coldest Winter Ever and really wasn't paying attention to what Midnight's story was within The Coldest Winter Ever. Like him coming back, like I didn't understand what they thought. A lot of people thought he was gonna come back and be some drug dealer or something. The dude was a Muslim.
Right. Hold on. Okay. So the next question was, as a writer, who mostly writes street fiction, and can you give a definitive on street fiction?
Well, I mean, right now the market has expanded really. Like back in the days, you probably would have like maybe, like maybe 7 to 10 people writing street fiction. But now, a lot of people be saying they writing street fiction, but really, a lot of the stuff that's getting passed off as street fiction really, in my opinion, isn't street fiction. What it is urban romance. Because people be wanting to hear, when people want a love story intertwined into that which is street, and it's not always like that. Street fiction is street fiction. It's not urban romance. Like street fiction is the coldest winter ever. You know what I mean? You won't find no love story in there. You find circumstance and dilemma throughout the entire book. You know what I mean? You got the family. You got Winter and her family, the things they going through, her father. There's no love story going on whatsoever. You know what I mean? The closest thing you get to a love story is Winter's attraction for midnight. Everything else is street. The drugs, her running around with the little girl from the group home, them slinging the drug. All of that is like, the same thing. Like it's all street. It's not no love interest. What I see now is a lot of people be wanting love. They be wanting love stories and they be trying to pass it off as street fiction. And I guess to be honest, I don't even know who to blame for it. Because the readers may say, we want a good story. A good, street story. And the author may say, hey, well, the author says, I like street lit. And he gives them a gutter story, totally gutter. No romance involved, no love interest, no, then they may not like it. You feel me? Like they probably won't want that. They want something like books like Dirty Rat. I'm just calling out some titles here from Urban Street, because these are some titles that I can refer to as street fiction, because there's no real love interest in the plot. You know what I mean? Like there's dilemma and circumstance. Urban romance is more like, to me, I think a lot of times people are writing these stories because that's what the reader wants. I don't feel like there's a great deal of authors now that come from an original place. They have no origin. Like they don't have no story that they can tell.
So do you think that they're lacking creativity in this situation, or they're just going off on what people like so they can make sales?
I think it's definitely lack of creativity. Definitely that. And I think that they're going along with what people tell them to do, or what they think people like, or what they see other people buying. As a means, as a means to how it should be done. And a lot of times it's confusing, because if you only online as an author, then you're only gonna see that part of the business. If you're not venturing anywhere outside of Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, then that's the extent of your knowledge on the business. Realistically, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and uploading to Amazon would be the extent of your knowledge. Like if you don't have anything else, if you don't have anything else, you're not gonna be inspired. Like I don't think authors are inspired.
Right. So let me ask you this: with your books, how would you put that out there? How do you get your books out there? And not only that, You were saying that a lot of times, a lot of people want urban romance. What are you presenting to the people?
I'm
What is your
presenting
books contained of?
I'm presenting urban fiction, and it's just that general because sometimes I may give you a story with a love interest in it, but it's just going to be urban fiction. I'm not going to say it's street lit. You know what I mean? Like when you hear title like Rat Hunters, guess what? It's street lit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's street lit. Like don't really look for any relationship. That's
So,
not.
I'm
You know.
sorry, I didn't cut you off.
No,
Go
I'm
ahead.
just saying that's not the key to my plot. The key to my plot is talking about rat hunt. The people in this story are specific towards a certain group of people. They don't like them, they detest them, they don't want to deal with them, and from that I have to create a circumstance. And that's what I did. Like I didn't begin that book thinking about no love interest. Like, oh, Pawn needs a girlfriend. But it's anything that got written, it was only there because it was gonna assist in the telling of the ultimate story I wanted to tell, which was somebody being told on by somebody else that loves them or that they thought they loved.
Right. So, do you believe your books are a variety of urban fiction, or do you think that you just going with the flow?
Nah, I definitely think I got a variety. I mean, I got areas of gray. It's a story on interracial relationships. You know, it's talking about the dysfunctions or the outlook or the stigmas placed on interracial relationships by the outside society. You
Okay.
know, so I write about a lot of various different things. I just choose to write mostly street literature because that's what I'm most familiar with. That's so really honestly I'm just there with the street lit to try to hone my craft because my true aspiration, the thing I really want to do, I want to be like a Sidney Sheldon or something. You know, I don't want to be anybody that I could log on and see online right now currently because I'm uninspired, honestly. Like I'm really uninspired by what I see. Like there was a time when I first was coming in the game when I was fresh because it was real. Like it was a lot of serious writers in there, and then even some of the people that are still around now were around, but they knew it was harder then. Like you had to come with originality. There was no like you couldn't write this person's story and then sell it off. You couldn't. It wasn't going on like that. You had to be original. You had to establish who you were. And you had to have your own tales. And now what I see is like a bunch of people trying to rewrite the stories that were already written, but maybe in a newer form, maybe adding some new music. The year's different, but everything else about it is the same. I'm not seeing no real signature.
That's like movies.
Yeah, exactly. You see Hollywood's running out of ideas. They got to go to the Marvel comics because the writers aren't coming up with anything new.
Exactly. And that I can agree on. That happens a lot in industries, period. A lot of times people don't have any originality anymore. But let me ask you this. With that being said, what is your goal? What goal are you trying to reach in writing these books? Where are you trying to go with this?
I really, honestly, my true goal, because my favorite author is Sidney Sheldon. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Sidney Sheldon. I mean, I know you know his work, maybe not his books, but like he's had a bunch of shows on TV. I Dream of Jeannie, like a lot of he's a writer. He wrote great things. I read his books like Windmills of the Gods, If Tomorrow Comes, Master the Game. Those are the things. Those are the type of books I want to write. You feel me?
Okay.
Like I wrote a book, right, called Till My Casket Dropped, and people were reading it, and they were like, "Oh, so many characters." People kept saying that throughout the book. It was like, not everybody, but a great deal of people were like, "Yo, so many characters." And I'm in my head like, "Yo, this is just another example of people in this microwave era." Because when I was younger and I would read a book, like I may start in a loft in Manhattan. And by the time this book done came to an end, I probably done been on 3 other different continents, met all types of people, different languages, different cultures and everything, just to bring me to the ending of this plot. And I've read a lot of different books like that, you know, like where people may be traveling all around the world, you know, in different countries, all types of stuff. So when I hear people saying like, there's too many characters, I had one person left a review like, you messed up the character. I thought you messed up the characters. Then I went back and looked, and I seen that you didn't. I was confused. Like, is that my fault? Like, if you were reading something and
You misread it.
Yeah, you misread it, or later on you came to a point where you thought I was said something else earlier, and then you go back to check it and you see like, oh nah, this do coincide with this. Is it me or is it you? Like you can't blame the author for that. Like you know, if I'm giving you the characters and that's who they are and they following along, if I got a character named Tanya and Tina and you like 2 T's is too much for you, you know what I mean? Like you can't decipher the two. That's not for real. Like because that's almost what it was. Like seriously, like I had 2 characters whose names were similar, but you know, nothing. They had 2 different roles. So I just think that a lot of times now people have become lazy. Like for real, like you look at somebody, a book could drop right now today, right? I could drop a book right now. And maybe in an hour or 2, I might have a review or 2 or 3 reviews. Like, I mean, there's definitely speed readers in this world. Fact. However, and there's another fact. However, most speed readers lack comprehension. It's a fact. That is a fact. Most speed readers lack comprehension. They can read very fast, but when it comes time for them to explain or give an understanding on what they read is where they have difficulty. The comprehension is off. So a lot of times when I be saying things, like for instance, let me tell I was on a show last week and I was saying a lot of different things that I know people weren't, you know, too happy about. And the next day I seen somebody had post up something. You know, I don't know if it was in reference to what I was saying on the show or whatever. I didn't know. So I didn't say anything, but I just read it and I was like, you know, they were saying like, yo, don't let nobody tell you can't make hundreds of thousands of dollars in this industry.
You froze up.
I'm like, well, first of all,
you froze up. You froze up. Say it again.
Yeah, I was when I was reading what they were saying, I was like, you know, well, first of all, my thing wasn't that you can't make $100,000 or $200,000 or $1 million doing this. My thing is, if you're not doing it right, you're never gonna be getting what you should be getting.
Right.
If you selling 90, let me give you an example. Like people are selling 99-cent books, right?
Right.
If I sell my book for $5.99, I could sell 100 books and outsell them if they sell 1,000. And what I mean is, when it's time to pay out, because they sell 1,000 books, they virtually only made $350 for 1,000 books. Don't make no sense, man. You killing the game. Like seriously.
So on that note, right there, what you saying that? So what advice do you have for these people that are selling their books? Because clearly they're looking to get their books out there. and they're looking to get, you know, in the industry and looking to really, you know, have that outlet. And so they're going for the cheaper route. And I know as a business owner as myself, you know, uh, you cannot mark down what you're worth. That I know. You know, you really cannot mark down what you're worth. You have to allow yourself to be worth more um, than what other people are doing. You know, you cannot compare yourself to the next person. You have to put yourself in a position that you know your stuff is worth a certain amount. It's like, you know, Gucci. Gucci know that no matter what, they're never going in Walmart because they know that their product is worth more than Walmart prices. You
Exactly.
would never see that. So that I understand exactly where you're coming from when you say, you know, do not bring down your prices in your books and stuff that you're worth. So my question again is, what advice do you have for them to help them motivate themselves into understanding what their worth is, what they're writing, what their story is meant to get people to understand or buy from them?
To be honest with you, like you really at this stage, it's gonna be hard to really tell anybody who is not writing from a place of passion. You feel me? Like most of these people, and I'm just keeping it real, yo, because I know real life. Most of these people are making the most money they've ever seen in their life selling these 99-cent books. You feel me? Like $300, $600, $1,000 a month is worth them to sell out everything else because they never made that type of money. So they're not gonna listen to somebody like me. Like if they weren't making,
they might. If
you
you're
know,
giving out the right advice, they might.
they don't want to hear the right advice because the right advice takes time. You know what I mean? The right advice takes process. That's a process of time, and nobody wants to say, hey, you know what? It's gonna take me 18 months to do this the right way. And overall, over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I'm gonna keep making money off this. They rather take the $500,000, $300,000, whatever it is they're getting immediately, because these books, what they've done actually is created a expiration date on these books. Like these authors these books don't be lasting no longer than 3 weeks, y'all. Facts. Facts. People drop a book, nobody don't even be talking about it 3 weeks later. I don't care who it is.
So in that case, you know, because that is true, that's just like movies and everything else, because everybody is putting out so many books and so many movies and so many things, you know, on a regular basis. Every day is something new. It's like electronics. Electronics got something new. You might get a 60-inch TV with a Sony, that's from Sony. That's a smart TV, but by the time you buy that TV at $700 or at $300, you're going to buy another one for another 60-inch that got something else that's much better, and they're selling it at $1,000 within the next week. So I understand exactly what you're saying, but my thing will be, with you being in the game for so long, for 8 years, you lasted for so long, and you still have books coming and going, and you still sell them at the same exact price. Your prices don't go down, nor do they go up. They stay the same. How do you keep that going? What advice can you give those who really are hungry, but really want that mentor, that really want that help and understanding? What can you give them? Not the ones that don't want to listen. I mean, because if they're already in the industry and they're not listening, then you can't talk to a deaf ear. But the ones that are hungry, what can you give the ones that's hungry for that and wants to hear you? What advice can you give them?
For the main thing I would tell them is patience, because this is a process. Like books is a process, and if they've been around literature for any real amount of time, then they'll know that. They'll know I'm not lying to them. Like if you read a book back in the days, like you just wouldn't hear nothing else from that author probably for the next year.
Mm.
You know, and people would be talking about the book and anticipating the sequel or just the author coming back for the next 9 months to a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these people are finishing the book. The book's released today. Later that afternoon, the very afternoon, they're informing you that part 2 will be out in 2 weeks. It's a problem, man. It's a problem. It takes the realism out the industry, because anybody that's really into literature, and I'm not talking about me, my little years. I'm talking about these publishing companies that have hundreds of years in public. They're not looking at that as nothing serious. When these people get on Facebook and be talking about I'm a boss, this and that, and then I say the things that I say, they thinking I'm hating, but I'm not. Show me the Carfax.
Mm-hmm.
If what I'm saying is bullshit, show me the Carfax. Go
Right.
outside of anywhere other than your page or any of these little Facebook groups where these people are giving you a bunch of false accolades and really not helping you grow, because they're giving you false accolades and not being honest. You know, go outside of that and maintain the same presence and the same personality, and I tip my hat to you. People don't be knowing these people offline, man. I sell books on the street, so I'll be asking about these other authors.
Okay, so that is
man.
your hustle. So that is something that you love doing, is you love to sell your books on the streets. That's a hustle for you. Is it? No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Is that a hustle for you, or is that something that that's the passion that you have for it, because you definitely are into this business like that, this industry? Did you freeze up on me?
No, you froze up. But what you said? Did I?
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I was saying that as far as, you're saying you're going out in the streets and selling out books and things like that. With people being hungry, are you using this as your hustle, or are you using this as this is who you are, this is your passion, this is your business?
It's a bit of both. Because if
You froze up on me.
oh, I'm sorry. I was saying it's a bit of both.
That's
It's a bit of both. It's when I'm out there in the streets, I'm referring to now. Like it's a bit of passion, and it's a bit of hustle. The passion comes in the ability to get up, go out there, and want to push myself, to push my product to other people. The hustle comes in when it's time for me to articulate and get these people to buy what it is that I'm selling. And that's a
okay.
like
So what you're saying to me, it sounds like to me that what you're saying is that most people in this industry do not have the passion that they need to keep it going, to keep it steady at the steady pace that you have kept it for the last 8 years. So they need to have that passion. They need to make sure that that passion is there in order for them to be on that, on that road, or
on the road to actually, to having some growth and being better. Yeah, yes, you need passion for that. You need, because passion is really gonna be the only thing that help you grow. But I don't want to make it seem, because I can't measure nobody's passion. You feel me? Like I can't look at no one and say, oh, they're not passionate enough. You know what I mean? Just off of a look, I couldn't do that. But through the things that I see them do, or how I see them move, it'll let me know the extent of their passion. Like
exactly.
I know authors right now that's they have a huge social media presence, but that doesn't necessarily translate into their world of literature. Like,
so what is your
100 likes ain't 100 book sales.
Exactly. So what is your industry looking like? What is your how can I put it? Your you're saying about Facebook and things like that, social media, and then outside social media, what is,
Well, on
I can't get the words out.
now, I got you on social media. Honestly, on social media, I'm not really good for social media. I'm probably the type of person that should really have a publicist.
Hmm. Are you still looking for a publicist? Or do you have a manager? Do you have someone that backs you up with these books?
So,
What do you have?
huh?
What do you have? Who do you have behind you? Who do you have that's pushing
Like
you to help you? Or even, do you have a publicist, a manager? What do you have?
really, I mostly do everything on my own because I don't, I learned the things that I need to learn early. Because when I was coming in and you were self-published, like that really, you was kind of like the oddball if you didn't have a deal. Like it was like, the industry was kind of separated. You had the published, and then you had the self-pub authors, and it was very rare that they came together. You know what I mean? So it was already used to not being, in any specific crowd. So I knew coming in, I had to do things for myself. I had to learn on my own and do things,
Mhm.
on my own. A lot of times, a lot of people, which is another thing. You see these people who had deals back in the days, and then they go out on their own and they don't know nothing. They can't do nothing because all they had was handlers their whole career. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what to do.
Right.
You know
So
what I
with
mean?
you, so what you're saying is that you basically just go out there and you do basically everything on your own. So what would you give, and what advice would you give to the people that that are doing everything on their own? How did you survive?
I went and got the essential things. Like you need a the first people are publishing through printing through Create Space now anyway. So that's an outlet, but try to have a printer, a solid printer. Try to have an editor that works with you specifically, so they know your work. They're familiar with your pen.
Mm-hmm.
Formatting, and typesetting. You need those things. Those are the things that you need in this business. So it's best to try to either get with people who know those things or just learn it on your own. Like there's nothing in this business that you can't learn because somebody else obviously did it, before you. So it's nothing that you can't learn. A lot of times people log on and just do what they see on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes away from the learning experience. They're going through
Right.
they're going to college through somebody's inbox. You feel
Right.
me?
Right.
Like, yo, what should I do? And the person they talking to might not, know anything. They can't tell them anything outside of how to do this social media shit. Like they can't tell
Right.
them where to go get an ISBN number, how to get an LLC for their company, how to register their, like they can't tell them nothing that means anything significant to business. They can only tell them how to conduct themselves on Facebook to be accepted.
So what you're saying is that social media, do not continue to keep using just social media. Don't just use social media. Social
Exactly.
media it sounds like to me social media is very helpful because it does get across to a lot of people, but you don't want them to be that main focus. Their focus do not need to be stuck on social media. It needs to go further. They need to
Exactly.
have other avenues, other ways of getting through to other people about their books and their literature and things that they want to give out to show. Okay, so let me ask you this: throughout the years, who was supporting you? Who supported you? How has the support between you and your family and friends been?
Yo, I'll keep it real with you, man. Like family and friends, you can't really get mad at them, and you can't really depend on them. like to keep it real with you. Like you can't depend on them, and you can't really get mad at them because it's no telling. Like that's a hit or miss. You feel me with the family?
Yeah,
But the family
it
thing,
is.
yeah, it's hit or miss because sometimes sometimes your family only want to deal with you contingent on the type of things that they believe you should be doing, or
Yes,
or
yes,
or
I believe
or,
that.
or what it is that you're doing, or where you're at with it. You feel me?
Yes.
And if you was the type of person that people might have thought like, ain't never gonna amount to nothing. People won't support you just because of that, family and friends.
Yeah.
Not on no intentionally wanting you to fail, but they will hold off from supporting you because they waiting for you to fuck up again, waiting for you to go back to whatever it was you was doing before or whatever it is they thought about you. A lot of times people's motives be contingent upon what they think about you, and not
Right.
what
Versus what you're going through in your mind.
yeah.
You
And
frozen.
or but you let them know it's,
I'm sorry.
I
You frozen.
apologize.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, like, as far as family and friends, the best thing to do is let them know, your product is out there, and try to tell them to tell their friends and
Right.
the people they know. You know what I mean? Because see, most times, to be honest with you, your family, your friends will probably promote you quicker through those means than to support you by coming right to you and supporting you, because they would rather, because it gives them some validation. Oh, my cousin's an author. My sister's an author. My daughter's an author. So it gives them something as well. So
Right. Right. Well, I understand that. I agree. I agree 100%. Your family is not going to be the one to support you the fastest. They definitely want to be able to see if that's going to be something that you're really interested in. They want to see if you're really holding on to it and the whole night. So that I totally agree. I've had family that done the same thing. If they don't see that you really sticking in it out, and that's for the long run, then no, they're not going to do it.
exactly.
But then you always have that one person. It's always somebody, that one person in your life that will definitely support you.
Yo, to keep it
And
real,
for me, it was my best friend. For you, who is
for
that
me,
one person that is there?
man, it'd probably be my little brother Skits Bebo. My little brother Skits, because like,
Mm-hmm.
he the only one that really, period, the only one that kept it real with me when I was
Mm-hmm.
coming out of them cages. You know what I mean? When I was coming home out them cages, he was the only one who kept it real with me. Garbage bags full of brand new clothes, money to put in my fucking pocket. Like, I'm talking about the day I got home. Not I'm gonna get, like, he already knew this is what I needed before I
Right.
came home. And he already had it. You know why? Because he didn't want to see me go back in there. Like, he had a
Right.
real love for me. You know what I mean?
And
So
that's what you
really,
need.
just my little brother, to be honest with you, as far as anybody that I know wanted to see me do this, because he gave me the money to publish my first book. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a blessing.
he gave me the money. Like, yo, this is what you want to do? Like, yo, here. He gave me the money. No
That's a
question, no
blessing.
asking when you gonna pay me back. Nothing. It was never no mention of paying, but just wanting to see me succeed and stay out them cages. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He didn't want to see me keep going back and forth in them cages. So, from there right there, it was all on him. He showed a real genuine love. He really the only person I could say, to keep it real with you, the only person that I could say had my back 100% with what I wanted to do when I came home, and been supporting me and hasn't let me down yet.
That's good, and that's really good. That's a blessing, and I'm glad to hear that, because it's no matter what, we always still need that one person that's going to be in the back of us, that's going to help us, support us. That person that got our back all day long is always that one person. You may not need a whole slew full of people, but you definitely need one person, and that's a blessing
Right.
to have that one person. Well, we're getting closer to the end, but I'm gonna ask you one more question.
Okay.
I got one more question for you, Big Daddy. You ready?
Yeah.
You is doing it up. I am appreciating this, and I'm learning a lot by you. I really am, and I'm glad to see that you have the passion that you have in this. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there that be willing to hear this and be willing to see how much passion you have in it, so that they can be able to go further and know that they have motivation. They, you are their motivator. You'll be able to motivate them into doing what they really want to do. Um, so which brings my other question. What is your objective concerning literature? What is your main objective?
Yo, whew, I just want people to be able to read and write. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, and I know that sounds just simple, but really, and that's why I be going so hard online, because a lot of times these people ain't really been in those situations. Like, I've been in prison where I had to write letters for grown men because they can't read. They don't know what the hell they mother, they sister, nobody's saying to them. I got to read the letter that comes in and then answer it and write it back and send it back out. And these is grown men. You feel me? Like, I want people to be able to read, man. Like,
Right.
we came from something else. I want people to be able to read and to comprehend. Reading, a person who can't read walk out into the world in the dark every day. Every day they walk out in the world in the dark, because at some point in the day they're gonna probably have to depend on somebody to tell them something.
Exactly.
You
That
know
I
what I
believe.
mean? And I want lit, and not just our people to be on top of literature, but also
You froze up.
Black people as African Americans. Like, ain't nobody never endured the conditions that we have and have become living proofs like we have. Like, we done mastered this language better than the people who done tried to teach it to us. You know what I mean? So, like, I be wanting my people to have a sense of intelligence about themselves. That's what I be hoping to do through the literature. Not saying that I'm not ignorant and I don't act ignorant at times, but overall, right? You could take me right out of an ignorant setting, come pull me right out of that, and bring me in a room full of intellectuals, and I won't miss a beat. You know what I mean? Like, I want our people to have that type of balance, man, and just really, to strengthen our minds. Like, when I was growing up in my neighborhood, it was all about intelligence. Intelligence was pushed heavy. It was pushed as hard as the dope. You know what I mean? Like, you came outside, people was testing you constantly, your intelligence. Constantly testing your intelligence, see if you knew what you needed to know about yourself, about where you came from, your circumstances, your conditions. How can you able your conditions? Like, I learned about the solar system and all that from my neighborhood, not from no classroom. Like, I learned about the planets, and how much water is on the earth, and how much I learned all of that from my neighborhood, not from sitting in nobody's classroom. You know what I mean? So
you learn from experience, is what you're saying. You learn mostly everything that you dealt with experience.
A little bit of experience, but nah, we had doctrine too. Like, we had doctrine that was explaining this to us. Like, we had doctrines that was definitely explaining, the Black man's existence, just everything that I needed to know as a Black man. I learned right there in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? Because there was teachers there.
Right.
There was teachers
that was
there.
actually
Yeah, that was, and then, I want us as Black people, I want our unity to get back to where it used to be. You know what I mean? Like, we had an all-time, we hate each other now. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like, when I was growing up, everybody knew each other.
Right.
The neighbors, you knew your neighbors knew you. It was a respect thing. Even when we used to be out in front of the building doing our little thing, like, that shit would stop when the older people would come to be getting ready to come in and out the building. It would stop. Like,
it froze up.
because it was that. It really is. And I just want us to get more on point on the intellectual side. Like, I'll be finding myself in arguments with people that I really don't even be wanting to argue with. You know, I mean, but you have to be combative sometimes. But I'll be like, yo, like, why? Like, what's the point? Because one thing you do, you shut me up with facts all day. Because I know that all the intelligence I got came from me learning from somewhere else. I wasn't born with this shit.
Right.
Like I know I learned it from somewhere else. So when I be speaking, first and all, I try not to speak on nothing I don't know about. That was a rule in my neighborhood. That was a rule, and there was consequences if you did that. Like, there were consequences. So I try not to speak on nothing I don't know about. You know what I mean? And now, it just seems like the norm. Like, people don't care if you telling the truth or not, or if you got the facts or not. People is moving on emotions and opinions, and especially online, because they can't hear my voice.
They're just going off on what you wrote. Hello?
And I can't, you know what I mean, because there's no real communication. We done got so used and so detached. People will text you before they call you now.
Yeah, that is true. That's true, because I mean, it's much easier versus me having to hear you versus, you actually, having a conversation. Now people are even, going through the texts and the whole 9 yards, and which is not good, because you can hide behind those words versus you actually expressing your feelings. So that I understand. So yeah, you need to be able to. I understand exactly what you're saying with your objective, but really having an understanding and really getting out there
and being able to communicate.
Exactly.
One thing I want to point out, like, and a lot of people be saying, like, because online, I'll be, like I said, I probably need a publicist online, because online, I'm going to have a bunch of different for real, because a lot of people in this industry now don't have any real know-how. Like, they just in. You know what I mean? Like, it's an immediate in. You're in. You know what I mean? So if you try to say something to somebody, like, people don't be wanting to hear that, and they don't care to 7 of their friends along that's just as ignorant as them. You know what I mean? And right away, it looked like it's crazy that intelligence has taken such a back seat in the Black community. A lot of
times, right? So do you think a lot of times that people just take things negatively, or or everybody's just looking for somebody to be positive all the time and not listen to the actual truth? Is that what you're going with? Is that something that you feel like, people are doing things where they just feel like, you were saying that, like earlier, let's recap a little bit when you were saying that about the 99 cents of them selling the books and not being able to sell the books for what they're worth. Do you think they're looking at that as a negativity, or do you think that they will eventually use that as a positive and motivation?
Well, I think that they're looking at it from a negative aspect when I say it. Like, if I come out and be like, yo, you selling 99-cent books, like, there's no market standard. You destroying the market. There's no market in the history of the world that doesn't have a standard to it, which is an actual fact. You know what I mean? That's just an actual fact, period. So when I say that, if someone hasn't been in the business world and doesn't know business, the only thing they knew is Facebook, and they realize, like, oh shit, I can publish my story, because everybody in the world feels like their story is the best story in the world. Everybody feels like they got a story to tell. So when they could come on and no one can restrict them from just, they could just put it out any way they want to. It doesn't have to be any guidelines or anything. What are they gonna listen to me for? Who am I? They're gonna be like, man, who this nigga think he is? Who is he? And even if I am speaking intelligently, like I said, it'll be enough ignorant people there to try to create a total darkness. Because there'll already be some people that's in the dark, and then they'll try to create a total darkness and eclipse, all light, because they have no knowledge. Like, it'll be very rare where you'll see me in a situation with somebody where we going back and forth, or we're in a dispute or with a disagreement, but they come with facts. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna be coming with facts, and people are gonna get mad, and they're just gonna go get other people who don't like me. That's what this business has become about: who you like and who you don't like. And it's the funniest thing because business never operated like that. And that's why the black man will always be the white man's property, as long as they continue to think in terms of that. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't no friends in business. It ain't no friend. Business is business, but business is business because it's business. It's not friends, because if it was friends, it would be called friends. It's business. So, you know, people don't want to hear that. A lot of these people, too, a lot of times, too, another reason why I don't be arguing back and forth with a lot of the people, authors, I'm being more specific about the authors here. A lot of times I don't argue back and forth with authors because I know that they couldn't sell their book offline. You feel me? Like, not even if they did have printed books and they had the actual physical book in their hand, I know that they couldn't sell it to anyone because they don't know how to talk. You know what I mean? Like, for real, they really just don't know how to articulate. They don't know how to sell it. They don't know how to sell themselves.
So what you saying as far as the selling is concerned, how did you market and then how did you market and advertise your books out? Besides the fact that you went out in the streets, you spoke a little bit about that earlier, about you going out in the streets and you sold and everything else besides the social media and going out the streets. What else was something else that you did to get that out there, to get your books out there besides that?
Prisons. I reach right back to where I came from. I still do that. Prisons is the biggest bulk of my sales right now. Paperbacks. You feel me? And that's another thing, instant money and paperbacks. Because I already know where the people, I know where they at. They sitting right there. I was there with them. I know what they gonna do.
Right, and they're gonna read more.
Yeah, they're gonna read. And their comprehension is gonna be a little bit better. Like a lot of this stuff that's passing through out here, that shit don't go through the jails, man. And what I mean when I say it don't go through the jails is meaning somebody will read that shit. A couple of people realize that it was bullshit and written by somebody who shouldn't have wrote it, and that'll be it. Like nobody will ever talk about it again. You know what I mean? Like they can only pull this shit off out here because no one has the time to concentrate and pay attention. In prison, brothers and sisters got time to concentrate and pay attention, and they're not gonna let you pass that bullshit off to them. Like they're not. You know what I mean? I was in prison. I've been critical in the yard with other brothers about some of these people that's in the industry. Because I was reading their work when I was locked up. Like, it's like, I know what be flying and what not. But yeah, the prisons is definitely a big place to hit up. Another place, man. Stop. You don't always got to go. Let me tell you something. I made more money selling books. Anytime I went to any other type of festival, I made money. More money selling books than I did at any book event. I went to they were having a dial show in Atlanta, like dials and shit. Like the people be making dials, like not Barbies and shit, but like little home. I sold like 80 books that day. You know, you gotta
go.
You got to go to other places.
So you suggest that they go to, right. So you're suggesting that they go to other places like, and what about
if it's an arts festival in your city, go. If it's whatever they have in your city, go. Because guess what? They got the audience set.
Right.
For you already. The hood shit. They can only sell that book to somebody like me if I want to buy it. They can't sell that shit to the white lady that's standing in front of them in Walmart that's coming through family circle. Even though it's clear to them that they see that she reads. They'll be too intimidated to even ask her or say they right. Because their only presence is social media, man. For real. And that's why they sit back and argue on social media so much, because they have no other experience outside of that.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And just going like it was done back in the day. You know, like back in the days, you go to a book signing, it might be a 3-day event. Like you get there, the first day is meet and greet. Second day, you might have you sell your books. Third day, we wrapping it up. We having a total book conference. We talking about books, how the industry works, what we need to be doing as authors in the coming year. Well, ain't none of that happening no more, man. These people ain't never experienced none of that. So a lot of times when I start speaking about things, they don't have no clue to it because it's not nothing that's going on Facebook. And so they're like, that nigga, forget that nigga. He don't know what he talking about. You know what I mean? Because it has nothing to do with what they're used to, like logging on and sharing their same book every day, day after day, in the same groups to the same people. Smart enough, man. Like smart enough, for real.
Right. And that I could agree. I understand what you're saying. They just really have to get out there and find other avenues on the streets, whether it's, like you said, art festivals or anything that has to do flea markets, anything that has to do with that situation to get those books out there. And I think that's true. Find sponsors. You know, I know that there's plenty of sponsors around that would help you to sell books or whatever, do events and things like that.
Listen, you got to be able to talk to get yourself in positions like that.
That is true. That is
these
true.
People can't. A lot of these people can't talk, man. They can only argue. They can only argue with me online because no one can hear the words. Like if they was
right, but they can't. But they have to be able to talk.
If they was
well, I mean, you know, I think that's a big thing with, you know, people, period, where everybody is just so easy to attract negativity. They attract that faster than they do positivity because everybody knows everything. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has a listening ear. You know, a lot of times people don't have a listening ear. But that's where you come in because you're OG in this. I consider you an OG because you've been in it for a while. You're not something that's new. So when you have an OG, it's just like, you know, these young, that's when you hear babies, it's like baby Christians, baby youngsters, it's baby people, you know, when they first get in, you know, the first thing they do is they're so excited and so hungry and so, you know, ready that they just, oh yeah, you know, they get into it and they ready to run with it and the whole 9 yards and then forget the fundamentals and the basics of it.
Word to
and
mother.
That I can understand where you're coming from on that situation. They totally forget the basics and the fundamentals. And that's why, again, that's why you're here, so you can bring that back. You know, sometimes we as people cannot take in those negativities. If they feel like it's a negative thing towards them, all I can do is just tell you the word. You know, it's just like in my Bible, I used to talk to my mom about this all the time. And because she's an evangelist and she loves to preach the word. And she gets very frustrated because, you know, when she preaches the word and she sees some people that's not doing, you know, what God said to do, she gets frustrated. And it's like, you can't get frustrated because the thing of it is, that's your passion. You can't take that on and ask and want that to be their passion. They're not there yet. They're baby steps. They're still trying to get there. But what you can do is plant that seed. Plant that seed, put the seed into their head, and move on to the next. You take it negatively, you take it the way you want to take it. That's not my problem. That's not my issue. That's not something that I can take on. All I can do is plant that seed and let that seed flourish as you want it to flourish. But if you don't want it to flourish and you want it to die, that is on you. I just gave you the seed for you to have. Now you do what you want to do with it, you know? And I believe that that's in all areas of life, you know, within the industry that you're in, within the industry I'm in, within any industry, that's the way it is. And on that note, I want to tell you thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this with me. This has been wonderful. I've learned a lot from you, a lot. And I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to even do this. This was fun. I enjoyed it. I was cute.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you was cute. You was ready. You be jazzed up.
And so were you. You looking real handsome, and I do appreciate you a lot.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. And on anybody that was watching, thank you. We appreciate your audience, and please continue to look for Aaron BEBO. Look for his books, Choosy, Rat Hunters, The Hunt Continues, and Change for $1. I'm pretty sure if you put in Google up Aaron BEBO, you would definitely find his bios, all his books that are online at Amazon.com, and you would definitely be able to see him on Facebook. You could inbox him to get more information about his books. You could definitely follow him on Twitter. You can follow him on Instagram. It's all in the same name, Aaron BEBO.
Right.
So again, thank you, and you guys have a good night.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
True friends. One question. Bitch, where you and I was walking. Now I run the game, got the whole world talking. King Kunta, everybody wanna cut the legs off him. Kunta, black man taking no losses. Oh yeah. Bitch, where you and I was walking.